Enough with the prescription opioids. Conference season undefeated in softball play. They may be a contender for the state championship. You heard that Kevin Powers called the game yesterday. Next up, district tournament. Meanwhile, baseball team, they end their season today at Science Hill. Wasn't a great day for the Blue Devils yesterday. They struck out 20 times against 4 different Dobbins-Bennett pitchers here, going by the names of Brogan, Beckner. The Blue Devils were 1 hit. They lost 3-0 to Big 7 champ Dobbins-Bennett. Here this weekend begins this Friday in Elizabethton. They play the first 2 days, I believe, in Elizabethton. Then they change to Cardinal Park in Johnson City. We'll have coverage of both district tournaments for you. And the Unicoi County Blue Devil baseball and softball games are brought to you by Irwin's favorite dental insurance agency, the computer guy of Irwin, Irwin Utilities, Irwin Paint and Body Shop, the Clinchfield Federal Credit Union, Jones and Church Farms, Relay for Life of Unicoi County, and Jones Hardware, celebrating their 60th anniversary there in Unicoi, Tennessee. So I want to give a shout out there to some of the high school baseball. I love high school baseball. I love giving baseball attention more into March and not so much into February. Now hear me out. Well, it'd be a shorter season, wouldn't it, Marky? I mean, school lets out. You know, nowadays, college, I mean, people attend summer classes. There's summer semesters. You've got year-round schooling. About a month before the practices begin, why couldn't you play baseball games a month after school ends? Would somebody explain that to me? To do it that way than to ask, people, and I think this just kills your fan base, asking them to sit in that 35-degree day in March that every, high school and college team plays. And it's not a lot of fun to sit in those games. That's why I always say, look, I am in favor of starting the baseball season first day of spring in the major leagues. But I'm also in favor of building new stadiums when they come about. I'm not saying tear down all the old yards. I am saying that it's inevitable that new stadiums will be built. And when they do, they must be built with a retractable roof. Why do we have rain delays in 2019? Why is that a thing? Really? I mean, it seems to me to be obvious here. Ensure the game. We'll take measures that ensure. It seems obvious that you would want to do this. And then you can play anytime. You don't have to worry about the World Series having snow like it has a few times when now that it's extending into November. You don't have to worry about the season and starting in a 35-degree day. And, will we really get that opening day in Cincinnati? I'm not saying tear down a Great American Ballpark. No, I don't believe that. I think that yard probably has, 10, 40, 100 years left in it. Whatever new ballpark there or anywhere. Retractable roof. I mean, it seems obvious to me. And, or if not building one, if it can be done on an existing structure. I mean, Anyhow, I think that would go a long way in helping out baseball. And, you talk about, I really despise what is going on right now with Rob Manfred, who seems to think that there's something inherent. Maybe the idea of trying to make the sport as politically correct as possible. Baseball believes in tradition. Basketball doesn't. Baseball does. Honor that. That's why people watch baseball and they don't watch basketball. Or if you are, who cares about history and tradition? You're probably going to watch the NBA and you're not going to watch the MLB. But anyhow, that's just my way of thinking. Knoxville, walk-off fashion with Ethan Eisenhower getting a walk-off hit. It was Johnson County that finished in 4th place and took a couple of games from Unicoi County last week to finish ahead of them in the standings in preparation for the Three Rivers Conference District Tournament. You heard those games. Let's see here. Zach Irvin has announced he's going to go to Elon. We're going to play CAA here. I mentioned baseball, and there is a football note that makes me want to scream. Yes, it does. Because, according to Stadium, there will be a new bowl game. The Atlantic Coast Conference and the American will play in a new bowl game in the tropical climate of Boston, Massachusetts in December. I don't know, maybe this is something, a snow game. But it's not going to be played in Foxborough. No, remember I said Boston, Massachusetts. Now, it's not. All right. Used to be Braves Field. Braves used to play there. They changed it to a football field for Boston Terriers. The Boston Breakers played there, USFL. Probably the all-time USFL game was played at Nickerson Field. Okay, now, what's going on? Fenway Park. Yeah, when they were the Boston Patriots in the AFL, they play in the AFL, excuse me. Because you know why? This means that there will be 43 bowl games in 2020. And how many of them will be relevant? One? In fact, it might be a good idea to reduce the amount of teams in playoffs. Oh, fans love playoffs. They go to the game. Look, you want to talk about the demise of NASCAR? Geez, when did that start? When they started waiting 10 races ahead of the other 26. Think about it. Oh, yeah. And so, the postseason be something exclusive? Shouldn't the regular season mean something? And I'm not sure that it does mean something if you've got 65% of the field making the postseason. Think about it. Not having Furman, and let's just say, that actually probably helped its legitimacy out. Oh, yeah. Absolutely it did. And then they found out that the field, we've got to only go one way in this game because somebody could run into the ivy here. They could run into the brick wall. This sounded like a good idea at the time, and then it's fun, let's play it at Wrigley Field. I get it. That sounds like a game. I watched it on TV. I thought that was a pretty fun game. We got a bowl game, though, in Yankee Stadium. What's all these baseball parks, they want bowl games now? I think they got one in Phoenix. Why? Explain this to me. I mean, let's tear up the turf in Boston. And, I understand. Let's go to Boston. Let's eat some legal seafood. Let's see the sights. Listen to WEI. But, honestly, Boston in December outside. I could go for the Winter Classic there, maybe. But to see Wake Forest and Tulane, who's going to that? Honest. By the way, speaking of Wake Forest, Dave Clawson had their head coach, John Curry. He's got to make a decision on Danny Manning pretty soon, I suppose. But although he did make a decision and retained him for this contract, Dave Clawson was signed to an extension that will keep him as the Demon Deacons head football coach until 2026. I've always thought Wake Forest is a place that should win more. Admittedly, smallest stadium in major college football, I've always thought that might be an appeal. It is a very small enrollment, less than 4,000 at Wake Forest, but in a big city, Winston-Salem. To me, that's a nice environment. That's sort of the environment that I'd like to go to college in, to tell you the truth. Stuff to do around me, and I get to know everyone on campus. I've always thought that would make Wake Forest a pretty good place to go play sports. I'm Marky Bilson. I'll be back with more free agent news after this.
And dangerous.